Both leaders expressed a need for political stability in South Asia. President Obama said, "It is not for the United States to tell India and Pakistan how to run their relations," but he said he is hopeful that eventually Pakistan will tackle the terrorist groups operating on its soil.
My hope is that over time what we're going to see is further clarity and further cooperation between all the parties and all peoples of goodwill in the region to eradicate terrorist activity, to eradicate the kind of violent extremism that we've seen.
Prime Minister Manmohan Singh faces criticism in India that the US does not do enough to pressure Pakistan to crack down on anti-India terror groups. But he made no mention of that at their joint press conference.
I'm very satisfied with the outcome of my discussion with President Obama.
In a response to a question, President Obama also said he plans to announce after this Thursday his decision on sending more troops to Afghanistan.
I think it's worth mentioning, since I'm with the Prime Minister of India, that this is important not just to the United States, but it's important to the world. And that the whole world, I think, has a core security interest in making sure that the kind of extremism and violence that you've seen emanating from this region is tackled, confronted in a serious way.
Both leaders agreed to deepen and broaden cooperation in the fields of agriculture, science and technology, and defense. They did not provide details about their talks regarding next month's climate change summit in Copenhagen, but President Obama said they had moved a step closer to a successful outcome. President Obama said India is a rising power and its partnership with the US will be a defining partnership of the 21st century. Just last week, during Mr. Obama's trip to China, Indian officials said the president seemed to endorse a stronger role for China in India's sensitive dealings with Pakistan.
India today is a rising and responsible global power. In Asia, Indian leadership is expanding prosperity and security across the region.
He said he has accepted Mr. Singh's invitation to visit India next year. Monday evening, Mr. Singh met with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who invited him to address a joint session of the U.S. Congress on his next visit.
I look forward to a conversation with the Prime Minister about how the U.S.-India relationship can be strengthened, intensified, and be for the good of the world.
It is my hope and ambition to give new meaning, new thrust to this strategic partnership during this visit.
Prime Minister Singh brought with him a large business delegation along with Indian Chamber of Commerce officials. They signed more than 12 memorandums of understanding with U.S. business companies and also with several universities for cooperation in education and research and development. Ravi Khanna, VOA News, Washington.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, John, for that generous introduction. Congratulations to you and Fabienne and Luis for the recognition your companies so richly deserve. And thank you to the chairman of the Export-Import Bank, Fred Hochberg, for having me here today, and for all the important work the Ex-Im Bank is doing to help American businesses sell their ideas to the world. I also want to recognize the Secretary General of the OECD, Angel Gurria, for his leadership at that institution. Let me also acknowledge some members of my economic team who are here today. My Commerce Secretary, Gary Locke, who's just returned from a trip to Brazil. Where are you, Gary? There he is, right here. Our U.S. Trade Representative, Ambassador Ron Kirk, who's been putting in a lot of miles. They are both doing a great job in the work of moving this country forward in tough times. Now, it has been our most pressing priority over the first year of my administration to deal with an unprecedented economic crisis, one that has been as serious as anything since the Great Depression. To do that required difficult and sometimes unpopular steps to rescue our financial system and to jumpstart an economic recovery. But we took those steps. And because we did, we can stand here just over a year later and say that we prevented another depression, we broke the back of the recession, and the economy that was shrinking a year ago is growing today. And what's also clear is that we've got a long way to go. More than 8 million Americans have lost their jobs since the start of the recession. Millions more remain underemployed, including those doing part-time work or odd jobs. And the middle class across this country has felt their economic security eroding for longer than they care to remember. That's why we continue to do everything we can to foster private sector job creation and to restore some sense of security. But the fact is, if we want to once again approach full employment, if we want to create broad, shared, and lasting wealth for our workers and our families, if we want an America that is ready to compete on the global playing field in the 21st century, then we can't slide back into an economy where we borrow too much and put off tough challenges. We can't return to an economy where too much of our prosperity is based on fleeting bubbles and rampant speculation. We have to rebuild our economy on a new, stronger, more balanced foundation for the future. A foundation that will advance the American people's prosperity at home and support American leadership in the world. And that's precisely what we've begun to do.